Here's a little video about being fucked.
The effort to contain a growing nuclear crisis appears in some ways decidedly low-tech, and it's all about really water and cooling this. Nearly 700 tons of spent fuel stored in the 6 reactors at Fukushima. Now, if the cooling pools are empty that are on the top of those reactors, and those rods that are stored there are allowed to overheat, radiation will spew into the air. Michio Kaku is a professor of physics at the City University of New York, and he's also the author of the new book, Physics
cool
of the Future.
This guy
and Michio, let's take a look at some of the solutions. They try to battle what's happening in reactors 1 through 4. One of the approaches is, as we saw in the pictures earlier, helicopters, and they seem to be, like, this is reactor 3, they seem to be like right in this area here.
What they're doing is basically using squirt guns against a raging forest fire. They are overwhelmed. And remember, it's a suicide mission for that pilot to come in a radiation field like that. That's why they can't even get close to the spent fuel pond. So this is where the action is. The world's attention is focused on the fact, and even there's a split now between the Obama administration and the Japanese government.
And you bring up a good point here, because if this is the reactor, I'll just draw a square right here for our viewers. They are almost this close.
I want one of those TVs.
This distance might be only 200 or 300 feet as we take a look at this space here.
And sooner or later, it's going to be a suicide mission. Radiation levels are near lethal there. And once it hits lethal levels, they're going to have to evacuate everybody, and the accident's going to be in free fall. We're going to have a simultaneous meltdown in 3 reactors, a raging fire in a 4th nuclear dump. We're going to have 4 raging nuclear accidents after they evacuate the workers.
And now let's move on to the second solution as they face that danger. There's also these water cannons. Again, here's reactor 3 that they're working on. And I'll go back to the picture here. The reactor that they're working on, there's the approach of using water cannons on the ground. Now, these water cannons could be in this area down here. Again, they're trying to reach the reactor, which is over here. Is that an effective approach?
No, it's not an effective approach because the workers cannot get close enough to put water here. And that's why I would personally advocate the Chernobyl option. Do what Gorbachev did in 1986. Call out the Japanese Air Force. Get the Japanese army to bring a fleet of helicopters armed with sand, boric acid, and concrete, and entomb this entire reactor, bury it in concrete.
So the sand and concrete sarcophagus, the approach they used in Chernobyl, but is it too early to do that?
Well, they keep saying that the thing is stable. That's like saying that you're hanging on your fingernails and you're saying it's stable, it's stable. Every 6 hours it gets worse, and it's an option. I would put, if I was the Prime Minister, I would put the Japanese Air Force on standby. Get the helicopters ready just in case they have to exercise the Chernobyl option. That's my plan.
All right. Some are saying it's a little bit too early. As I was mentioning, the last approach that they're employing at the moment for a solution is there's these pumps that exist in the area. I don't know the exact location, but they're bringing some emergency pumps here, and they're trying to get power lines to them right now. Will that be enough, again, to try to cool off reactor 3, which they're watching so carefully?
Well, in principle, because the power is out, there's no fail-safe system. It's like operating a car with no brakes, even as your radiator explodes. This is a last-ditch desperate measure to try to get power to activate the cooling system. But remember, workers are not going to get close to it, and it takes many hours, and they have a skeleton crew of 50 workers. Normally, it is 800 workers. Now we only have 50 beleaguered workers doing 4 simultaneous accidents at the same time. Let's get real.
And if one goes over the top, shall we say, goes to the meltdown, it may make it difficult in a domino effect to service the others.
That's right. Reactor 2 has a crack in its containment. We think Reactor 3 also has a crack. Here we have 70% core damage. Here we have 33% core damage. 800 workers can't even handle one meltdown. We have 50 workers with 4 simultaneous accidents.
And seen as heroes in the country of Japan as they work so hard right now. Michio Kaku, thank you very much for some of those solutions that he's discussing in his book, Physics of the Future.
As a rock star, he knows what the fuck he's talking about.